For over 70 years, if you've lived in or around East Tilbury, there's a very high chance that you will have worked for the Bata Shoe Company. Between 1932 and 2005, I suppose you could say the two went hand in hand. Generations of families worked for the Eastern European company Bata. Like any community, it's suffered its fair share of casualties during World War II. And this coming weekend, a memorial will be rededicated to those who fell in World War II. Well, last week, after the programme with you, I headed to East Tilbury to meet Mike Tarbard from the Bata Reminiscence And Resource Centre. Now, we're standing in the middle of a very nice park in East Tilbury, and right in the middle of it is this wonderful war memorial. Perhaps, Mike, you could describe it for me.
Well, it's a granite-built war memorial. It was designed, I think it was by a guy called Carfick. It was first unveiled and erected in 1955 by the then British Bata Shoe Company. At that time, there were 69 names on there of Bata employees who lost their lives during World War II. It's got an inscription erected to the memory of those of the British Bata Shoe Company. There's an eternal flame and there's plaques. Unfortunately, the eternal flame was stolen about 10 years ago, and the plaques were then removed and only put up for remembrance services. I decided about 4 years ago that we should do something about this, and by that time the Bata Reminiscence group had found another 12 names of people who died in World War II. So we applied to the Heritage Lottery Fund, the local forum, the Welcome Forum, and Thurrock Council also helped us with finance, so that we've had 2 new granite plaques made with 81 names on there now, which have been relocated to face the factory site. The war memorial has been completely steam cleaned, all the pointing's been redone, the inscription's been repainted, and we've had completely new paving and paving fencing around it, and a little bit of horticultural work.
Why do you think it was so important to do this?
Although I haven't got any relative on here, I thought to myself, if somebody came down here on the off chance to see their relative, let's say Frank Sedder, who's up here, they'd be horrified that they couldn't see it. And I thought that was a terrible thing for these people who gave their lives so that we can live ours today. And they gave it up in different ways. There's one lady up here who, Ivy Savage, she was a shop manager in Croydon. Her husband had gone to war. She had 2 kids under the age, 2 boys I think it was, under the age of 11. She went to the cinema one evening in Croydon and it was bombed and she died. Her husband came back from the war unscathed. To me, that's what it was all about.
And this, putting it into perspective, East Tilbury, Bata, virtually the same. I mean, they are... You can't have one without the other.
No, that's right. Bata first came here in 1932. Thomas Bata, a shoemaker in Czechoslovakia then, wanted to expand his empire. He advertised for some land, and a local potato farmer, Farmer Wilson, saw the advert and contacted Bata. They came over. A deal was struck, but it was the 1930s, the Depression time. Potato quota was about, and there was a real problem to actually get the deal totally struck legally. A local rector, Reverend Bound from Tilbury, heard about this, went up to London, saw the ministers, talked sense, told them about the number of employees that would be taken on, and the deal was struck. January 32, they signed the contract. March 32, it was completed. 33, the factories were started and then opening.
So that really, going back to our war memorial here, makes it even more poignant, because all these people would have known one another, wouldn't they? They would have worked together.
Of course they would have done, and many of them were very, very young, and I can't believe how young these people were. 18, 19, and there's one lad up here, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He went off and joined the Navy, but he lied about his age, and he was lost when his ship went down. Stories like that, there are so many. Well, the 81 names, there's a story about all of them, and what we've tried to do in the last few months is to contact relatives of these people, or as many as we possibly can, to do with the rededication service that's taking place later this month on Sunday the 27th of April at 2 o'clock. We have contacted a number of names. There are people far and wide. We've had a contact from Vancouver in Canada too far for them to come, but they've put us in contact with some UK-based people, so we're hoping that they'll come along. There are also still some Thurrock-based people, and I'm sure that there are many more out there who are still local, because most of these guys live locally.
I'm afraid it is a sign of the times that instead of the bronze flame, it is no longer bronze.
That's correct. The decision was taken when it was stolen to replace it by some synthetic material. I couldn't tell you what it is, but I wanted something on the plaque to be correct, and that's why we went for the black granite. Much better.
Yeah. How much has this all cost to rejuvenate this memorial?
Well, we were very fortunate. The Heritage Lottery Fund were very good to us, and they gave us £10,000, and the Welcome Forum gave us £3,000, and the council have put in monies to help us some more, and we put in some money. So I guess in total we must be talking about £16,000-17,000, but to me it's money well spent. It was started as a community project, and I'm hoping it's going to finish with a community event.
So if anybody has attachments, connections with the Bata factory, East Tilbury generally, you want to see them down here, don't you?
Yes, we do. And just to mention a couple of special guests we've got coming, Lord Peter, the Lord Lieutenant of Essex, will be here, along with our Mayor of Thurrock, Councillor Tony Fish, and his consort, Stephen Metcalfe, the MP. And also we've got a lady called Mrs. Monica Pignell, who is the granddaughter of Thomas Bata, who bought the land. She's coming here. She's flying in that morning. She will be with us to lay a wreath and say a few words.
So that's Mike Tarbard there from the Bata Reminiscence And Resource Centre, and the event, just to remind you, will take place at the War Memorial. That's opposite the former Bata shoe factory this coming Sunday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, I was just absolutely blown away by what I saw down there. I've been there before, but not for some years, and the history of Bata and East Tilbury, completely fascinating. In the next few weeks on the Dave Monk programme, we'll hear more about the town that shoes built.